Hey, it's Ben. So today, broadcast is about you have to heal it. Or, no, I got that asked backwards. So let me start over. Today's broadcast is you have to feel it to heal it. And the reason I'm addressing this today is because throughout all the years I've been working, I've encountered people for whatever reason, just either couldn't access their emotions or just chose not to go there, didn't want to feel. It would be really frustrating sometimes. Like I'd be offering classes on a weekly basis, and every so often I would have somebody show up. There were a few that would show up a little more consistently for a while. I sometimes wondered why when they were that numb, but a few did. But I would have some people show up that were so disconnected emotionally. And when I would be going to each person in the room, from going around the circle, each person, and I would have them, describe what their challenges were, what they were facing in their life, specific areas of concern. And so I would do that initially, but then I would have each person close their eyes and and then bring their awareness to that issue or concern and ask them, say, bring that individual to the forefront of your awareness or that specific issue. And as you do that, how does it feel within your body? And most people were able to access their feelings, in relation to what was happening, whether it was if they were going through a breakup or some other craziness in relationships, if they were facing other challenges in their life, they could access specific emotions or emotional responses and identify those emotions and where they were situated or located within their body. And then I'd have them dive into the depths of what they were feeling and breathe very softly, deeply. And as I'd have them stay with these emotions, their authentic emotional responses, and breathe into what they were feeling, I could see these individuals working through these difficult emotions, and they would come through it. They would come out the other side, and they were feeling more resolved, more at peace, often more accepting, or sometimes many instances with greater clarity, a sense of like they had an understanding of what steps they needed to take to address the issues. But I have these other individuals show up at times, and they had so numbed themselves, were so disconnected emotionally that they could not even access or identify any kind of emotional sort of feeling in their bodies. And what would be really frustrating or difficult at times is if I asked them, what they were feeling, they would launch off into some long ass narrative, and other people would be like going into this like really deep meditative states as they were accessing their emotions. But the people who couldn't access their feelings or their authentic emotional responses, they'd be way off up in their head, spinning around in that narrative, and it would pull everybody else out of state. And so I'd have to head them off at the pass. I would interrupt them. It's like, okay, we know that. We know the narrative. We're not here to go off into that right now. And I knew I couldn't get them to access their emotions, some of these individuals. So I would say, okay, you can feel the chair that's supporting your body, right? You can feel the shoes on your feet, right? You can feel that, can't you? And it's like, okay, then just feel that. Just breathe into that. You feel your butt against the chair or those tight shoes on your feet. I had to do that basically so that it didn't just wreck the whole class and throw everybody else off. for the sake of everybody else who was in the class. So it could be challenging at times. Now, some of these individuals, as they continue to come to class, over time, they got to where they could access their emotions. I've had others that maybe they came to work with me individually. At first, they couldn't feel hardly anything. But within a few sessions, many of them, that emotional range starts opening up. Some of them in the beginning, they were on psychotropic meds, antidepressants, other anti-anxiety, psychotropic, like antipsychotic, Klonopin or whatever. And it left them so disconnected, so desensitized that they just their emotional responses didn't register. But some of these individuals, as they continue to work with me, they started cutting down on the dosage of the medication, go down another 5, 10 or more milligrams, and some, continue to taper, and a number of them completely went off the meds after some time. And they'd be saying like, wow, I didn't realize all this was happening during the sessions. And they were feeling this whole range of emotions and vivid physical sensations, and this whole intense process taking place within their body and mind. Now, I want to describe a few individuals that I've worked with over the years to give them as an example. I'm not going to mention names to protect confidentiality, but I will describe the dynamics of each of these two individuals, unless I come up with another one in addition to those two. But the first one, and I'm not going to make up a name, I'll just say this man that I was working with, whatever. But so he shows up in class one night with a woman that he was seeing at the time. I don't know if she was born in China, but she was Chinese. Not sure that part matters, but he was in a relationship with her, and he was quite frustrated. He was going through a lot of difficulty. He obviously had a very strong attachment to her, but the relationship wasn't working all that well. And I don't remember that much about that first night when he showed up in class with her, but he arranged for me to come over to his apartment and work with the two of them. He and this woman that he was seeing. But as time went on, he's filling me in on more of the details. And so he finds out after he's been seeing her for some time that she's married. And turns out this woman, she's kind of a sociopath. I mean, she's like, she lied a lot. But still, he's really trying to make the relationship work. And I think he had this expectation that, is having me come over and do sessions for him and her. And so somehow he expected me that by doing these sessions, it would fix her and make the relationship work. And saw them a few times, and then now I don't remember all the details. I mean, this is going back a number of years, but after seeing him a few times, I was back in Sri Lanka, and their relationship dissolved, and then he disappeared. I didn't see or hear from him for some time. And then after a few years, he resurfaces. And this time he's got a Filipino woman that he's seeing. And that was a whole different brand of crazy for him. And they both had their issues, but it was triggering a lot of, he was struggling. in other words. And so I don't remember if I worked with her a time, once or twice or whatever. But he was doing sessions, but it was quite difficult working with him because he would come in and do sessions and his body was just like, it was just so hardened. Oftentimes what happens when people shut down emotionally, their bodies become very rigid, very armored in ways. And there was also this like strong alcohol vibe too that I was feeling from him. So as I was working with this Filipino woman that he was seeing, and she was filling me in on some other details of what had gone on in their relationship. And apparently he was even somewhat violent at times. He's describing how at one point during the middle of the night, he's on top of her and even choking her, and which is pretty disturbing, very alarming. And as she is describing to me how heavily he drinks, that he would be drinking like really hard liquor and like substantial quantities of it as well. And the times when he came in for sessions, and it was very difficult to get him to do any practice. I mean, he fought it. The practice where I have people sit down, bring their awareness to whatever person or situation that is, in this case, was stressing him out, and to picture the woman he was seeing and the whole relational dynamic, hold that in his awareness. And he fought it, again, he just, but the problem is that what I find is when I'm not able to get people into their bodies and to work constructively with their authentic emotional responses, their bodies just are not as malleable, they're not as responsive. And so again, as would be doing the work on the table, and he's laying there, but his body is just like so armored. And at one point he's saying, complaining about he didn't feel he was making that much progress. And it's like, the thing is, healing is a team effort. I can do my part, but any individual that I'm working with also has to be willing to do their part. And when people are not willing, are able to access their emotional responses, to be present with their authentic feeling responses and breathe into them and process those emotions, the body just is not going to be as responsive. And so therefore, they are not going to, if they can't process those emotions, those highly charged emotions that they're holding in their body, they're not going to be able to dissolve those unhealthy attachments, to learn the crucial life lessons that their experiences have to teach them. The relationships and other aspects of their life, they're just not going to get it. They're not going to learn. They're not going to grow. They're not going to heal. And after a while, this guy disappeared. It's not surprising. I did as much as I could, but as I said, healing is a team effort. And when I'm working with someone, this other individual, they have to do their part as well. When it comes to healing, you cannot be a bonehead. And if you're so locked up, if you're shut down emotionally, it just creates this rigidity, this inflexibility that makes it difficult for you to learn, to grow, to heal, to evolve. Your body's rigid, your mindset, your attitudes. Yeah, it stunts your growth, prevents you again from healing. There is a woman that I worked with for some time, living in Manhattan's Upper East Side, and she was suffering from IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome. She'd have these bouts of uncontrollable diarrhea and was really in serious trouble. She'd be in the toilet, 2, 3, 4, maybe more days a week with those bouts of diarrhea, getting really depleted, a bit emaciated from it. And so definitely cause for concern. And when I first started working with her, and I would have her sitting down, ask her to close her eyes, bring her awareness to her body, her feelings, her physical sensations. So she'll be sitting there with her eyes closed. Then within 5 minutes time, she's sitting there like, can I open my eyes now? And she'd be fighting it. But she was in such horrendous shape. She was suffering so badly that she continued to do the sessions about every 2 weeks. I'd go back to her apartment. We'd set up again. I'd work with her. There's many other people I've worked with. And for those of you who do not already know, I spent years training with a traditional Native American doctor, an actual medicine man. He passed on portions of his own healing gifts to me. And they'd have me go on the vision quest where I go out and fast 4 days and nights without food and water in order to earn the right to work with these gifts of healing. And as I continued to go, I received additional gifts of healing. The work got more powerful. So I work with people with a wide range of anything from heart disease and stroke and digestive disorders, people injured in automobile accidents. So I work as a conduit, allowing this extraordinarily powerful presence to work through me to facilitate healing within the body and mind. So I've had numerous other people over the years with all kinds of digestive issues, kinds of bloating, distension, and much more serious issues like colitis and Crohn's disease. I've had people like maybe even where they're passing blood in their stools and they're experiencing a great deal of pain. In 5 or 6 sessions, it heals. And after that, they come in for periodic maintenance. And you get these people that after a while they could eat pretty much whatever they want within reason, and they heal again, as little as 5 or 6 sessions. But this woman on the Upper East Side, it took like a year and a half, way longer than it ever needed to. But she had me show up every couple of weeks, do the next session and the next one. Gradually over time, I did get her to where she would sit longer, being present with her physical body and all its sensations and any emotional responses, getting her up to like 20 and then 30 or more minutes. And her body became more malleable, more responsive. And the IBS in time, yes, it did heal. Instead of the uncontrollable bouts of diarrhea multiple days a week, she might have a few episodes, like 2 or 3 a month, and they weren't that severe, pretty minor in comparison. And before, when I started with her diet was so restricted. It's like about 5 food items. Like, if I remember right, rice, sweet potato, squash, chicken, and bananas. Those were the 5 items she could eat. And it was caused her a lot of humiliation and grief if she did go out to eat with people and everyone else could eat all these different foods and she couldn't, or if she diverged from that narrowly restricted diet, her body would just freak out and she'd be in the toilet again, some major crises. But as I continued to work with her and the IBS healed and she got to where she could eat pretty much anything within reason, and she got a little carried away after some time. After all those years, couldn't eat much of anything other than those 5 items. And she indulged in cake and ice cream, and she started packing on a few pounds. And it's like, no, she didn't want to be heavy. So she moderated her diet then, but she finally healed. But again, a year and a half, that took way longer. That's much longer than the 5 or 6 sessions that it took these other people to heal. And the reason why, again, is because she was so locked up emotionally, just didn't want to feel, didn't want to go there. And it took a lot of time, a lot of patience on my part to get her to go there. So in order for us to heal, it's so critically important that we're able to be present to what's happening in our lives. I've described this practice in numerous other videos, but just in case, first time you're hearing it, you acknowledge what's happening, what you feel in response to it, like what physical sensations, what emotions are you experiencing, and then where are the feelings situated within your body. Bring your full awareness to these feelings and sensations. Drop deeply as you can into the depth of them and continue to breathe softly and deeply. Follow the feelings and sensations. You don't try to change the feelings. You don't try to make them be something else. You're not breathing them out. You're not observing them from a distance. No, you're getting deep into the middle of the feelings. You're being as subjective as possible. You dive into the depths. Because as you do that, you continue to follow these feelings and sensations. That's going to enable you to digest your life experiences and your authentic emotional responses. As you do this, it facilitates healing, and you learn and you grow and you evolve from your experience. By the way, just so I don't forget to mention it, if you're finding value in what I say, be sure to like the video. And if you're really inspired, subscribe to my channel, where you find lots more valuable insight as to how you can heal your body and mind. You'll learn the valuable meditation practices and gain the insights needed to awaken the innate healing intelligence residing within your own body and mind. And you learn how to heal the deep emotional wounds. So if you're struggling with breakups and divorce, patterns of abandonment, rejection, unrequited love. Anyway, let's get back on track. But yeah, do subscribe if you're inspired, and share the video with other people that you know who are facing these challenges. But anyway, years ago, as I struggled with my own emotional wounding, and I was reenacting a lot of the painful dysfunctional dynamics of my own childhood and adolescence in my adult romantic or attempts at romantic relationships. And it would evoke some incredibly painful emotions, but like so many other people, I just didn't want to feel. I didn't want to go there. I resisted those feelings. And one of the primary ways I did so is I just tried so hard to make those relationships work. And even those desperate attempts to make the relationship work is in and of itself, it's like on one hand, trying to get the love that I didn't get and needed. We have these basic needs, but it's also a way of resisting the pain. And so to the extent that I resisted all those painful emotions, that stunted my growth. It drastically slowed down my own healing process. That kept me locked into a holding pattern. By resisting, not wanting to go there, not wanting to feel, it perpetuated my suffering because those dynamics that I was struggling with, those patterns of abandonment, unrequited love, and when relationships weren't working, would blow up on me. By not allowing myself to feel, not wanting to go there, it caused me to suffer for way longer. And but over time, I gradually figured it out. Whatever was happening, and you need to do the same thing. Your relationships are not working, or some other areas of your life, even if you're facing physical health challenges, whatever you're faced with, acknowledge what's happening. Bring that person, situation to your awareness. As you do so, how does it feel? What are your deepest emotional responses? Is it grief or anxiety or fear or anger or frustration? How does it feel? Where are those feelings situated in your body? Bring your full awareness to what you feel, where the feelings are situated. Dive into the depths of what you feel and keep breathing softly and deeply. Stay as present as you can. Sometimes these feelings, you may work your way through them 5, 10, 15 minutes. If you're going through some agonizing breakup, maybe the death of a friend or loved one, those feelings can take a lot of time to process. It could be very slow moving. This profound grief can continue to surface for weeks and months on end sometimes. It'll wax and wane. Sometimes it can be excruciating intense, and other times it will diminish. But whenever these feelings come up, to the best of your ability, if you're at work, you're interacting with people, sometimes you have to be present and function and do what you need to do. But even with your eyes open, just stay connected to what you feel and just keep breathing into what those feelings and sensations. And when you can, sit down, close your eyes, and really dive deep into it. Because when you can do so, sit with it with your eyes closed, especially you go in. If you can't do anything more than do 15, 20 minutes, but if at all possible, go 30 minutes, go an hour, go multiple hours. The longer you sit and the more deeply you're able to dive into it, the practice becomes so much more powerful. And then as you do this practice, you combine it with, if you're working with a psychotherapist, if you're working with a gifted healer such as myself, if you're doing deep tissue body work, if you're really hardcore like me and you go on the vision quest, whatever therapeutic modality that you're working with, they're going to be able to work much more effectively for you because your body will be way more malleable. You'll be far more responsive to healing. So do your part for the healing to work. So if you're struggling, if you find yourself challenged with in your relationships or some other area of your life as well, I am offering, depending on what you're dealing with, it could be a challenge resolution, it could be a heart mending strategy session, either one, 20 minutes time. So you're struggling, if you're facing these challenges, we'll give you 20 minutes. We can explore what the best options are. If I could be of assistance to you as well, I'll let you know. I'll let you know whatever I feel the best options are for you. So I'll post the link below the video. So if I could be of assistance, do reach out to me. And I think that's good for today. So I will leave you with that for now. Bye now.